All right, check 1 2, check 1 2. Hey, I had to take it there. Anyway, this is Ed O'Brien. This is a special edition of We Run the State podcast. Tonight, talking with my man Brent Williams, NextGen All America founder, also creator of the show and the Six and the Mega Six and the Mega Trench King Challenge. I got that right, right?
You got it right, man. You hit them all, man. We're just trying to build, man. Trying to build.
Absolutely. Just want to say what's up to everybody in the Twitterverse. Y'all can hit up the Twitter if y'all got any questions or anything like that, and I'll relay it to Brent. Anyway, of course, we're on here tonight. Last time we spoke, did a little bit of an introduction to the both, the Six and the Trench King Challenge, and to the Trench King Challenge and the NextGen Camp in general. And now tonight, we're gonna get into the regionals. Just talk a little bit about how you guys went about the process as far as choosing the cities and then choosing the time frames to have each camp.
Right. I mean, we have typically kicked off our camp series in Florida. Obviously, the weather down there is pretty good in January. Our camp series different than others. Ours starts in January and then ends. It'll end in May, and then we culminate with the show, which this year will be in the Peach State in Atlanta. We haven't been back there for 3 years, so it's a great opportunity to bring the show back to Atlanta. It was kind of the Atlanta show was like the show that really kind of took us over the edge from the amount of talent that came, the amount of players that came from around the country. But I think that one was the one that really made us kind of put us on the map. We had done it 3 times before, and they were all okay. They were good. They were getting better, but the Atlanta one was the one that in my mind kind of set the stage for what we've been able to build since then. So we end the season in Atlanta, but we will start our regional showcases in Orlando, and we've done that for the past few years. It works great with our schedule, in the fact that we can get started early with a lot of elite talent. I know the guys from Ultimate Stomping Grounds, USG, have a big group that's coming out. The group 7-on-7 program, Unsigned Preps, sends out a lot of kids. And Orlando's a little unique as far as regional events are concerned, is a lot of kids come from all over the country because they want to compete with kids in Florida. And so we get a lot of kids, as you've been there, you've seen from all over the place. Heck, last year we had a kid from Alaska that came in.
Wow.
Because if you can prove you can play in Florida, and that's a great state for us to start the show selection committee, the show selection process. It's really cool to get started, and we know that we're going to find a lot of freaks there. So right now it's on pace for almost 400 kids. It will be probably one, if not the biggest or one of our biggest events. And we love that place to start off with. It gets us great momentum, and we get a lot of kids that are going to be participating in the show from that event.
Well, that's definitely one of my best. I like all the events, but I love visiting Florida in early January because usually it's definitely much warmer than it is in Pennsylvania. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's an
But
excuse for us to get out of Boston, man. We can get south, man, a little warmer, man. Make those old bones feel good.
look, you hit on a great point. Um, I think this is with a lot of football players up north, and just anywhere in particular, because Florida is definitely considered, the home of the best football players, or at least top two or
Mm-hmm.
top three states, if not the
Mm-hmm.
top. So
Yep.
I've seen I've seen athletes definitely come from up this way. Even at the youth football level, I've seen teams go down to Florida because what you said, they want to prove themselves against the best. And Florida
Yep.
athletes are usually
Absolutely.
considered the best. And I think this is a great opportunity for athletes, as you mentioned, coming from the other states to see how they measure up against these kids in Florida. And a lot of these kids, I know it's always a good number of kids that either have FBS offers or are definitely
Mm-hmm.
in the running for some, and most likely will get
Right.
some, a month or so after the camp,
Right.
or a couple months after the camp or whatever. So I think
Right.
that's definitely
You know,
always a great start.
you touched on something that's always interesting about the Florida kids. We do a lot of different states around the country, not picking on any other states where there are elite kids that come in. One of the differences about the kids in Florida is that the elite kids still show up to compete like they don't have an offer. And I think that's a mindset that we embrace, that we love, because we want to see the best of the kid, the best of the best come out and compete. And then it opens doors for kids that don't have offers or don't have opportunities just yet to kind of measure where they are. They get to see, okay, this kid has 20 Division I offers, and if I can play with him, then I can play with anybody. And I think that's something that's unique about Florida, and I think that's something that I know as a camp series we appreciate. We go to different places where there are a lot of elite talent, and they want to show up and compete. That's always cool to see.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I think I tell people, up where I'm at in Pennsylvania, it's some people that like to play football, then there's other kids that love to play football. They love the
Yeah.
game and love to
Yep.
compete, and it's like a big difference um,
Right.
in the attitude. So I definitely see where you
Yep.
definitely agree with you on that point. Um,
Yeah, we talk about it. We said it like this. There's some places, there's some states that like football, there's some states that love football, and there's some states that live football. And our biggest events are in those states that live football. That they're, when we go to Texas, when we go to Atlanta or Georgia, when we're in California, those places, you see why they have elite players. You see why they have elite talent year in and year out, is because those kids come out and they show up to compete.
all right, now that the Orlando event will be on January 8th, 2022. If you haven't signed up yet,
Correct.
you better try to get in as soon as possible because I'm not sure what the cap
Right.
limit is at, but if it's already at 400, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
At
So,
some point we have to shut it down because I can only get so many shirts, man.
right.
And this year, we're taking the camp to another level. We want to be a grown up camp now. So we used to just give the kids a camp shirt, which I think was cool. But now they get camp shirt, camp shorts. It's a whole nother design. Game Breaker has put together some really cool designs. This is our 8th year running the camp series. It's our bronze year. So bronze is the color theme. So
Okay.
the gear is popping, and I think that it's going to be real fun to see the kids go out and compete and look from top to bottom. They'll look professional. So I think it'll be a great experience for those kids that are coming out.
Yeah, I wish I could put some of those pictures that you posted online as far as what the uniforms look like, at least for the mega and
Yeah,
the
we
mega
dropped the
events.
uniform lines. It's on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out, they're there.
All right, and now you mentioned California, so
Hmm.
that takes us to the next set of events that'll happen a little under a month later in both
Right.
Las Vegas and Los Angeles. And before I get to that, I have a question. Are you still doing the quarterback college?
Yes, we are. That's a great question. One of the challenges in doing the six that we ran into last year is we basically did the six at each one of the events. This year, we're only going to do 4 sixes. So we're going to do one that is going to be the Mega Six that we're doing in Dallas, and that's at the end of January. That'll be at the Star in Dallas. The second one that we're going to do will be in Atlanta. We're going to announce that date probably next week, early next week. And then we're going to do one in Cleveland. And we have 2 other cities that we are finalizing arrangements for. We're going to do one on the East Coast, whether it is in Philadelphia, somewhere in the Northeast. And then we're going to finish up with one on the West Coast. And we're working with, I can't say it yet, but we're working with an NFL team on the West Coast that is going to help us host a West Coast event. Hopefully that will be as cool as the others as the one that we're doing in Dallas. So we're pulling things together. It's been unique because obviously we're still, we recognize that we're still in a pandemic, and as much as we want to do events that help showcase kids' talents, we still want to recognize and do things in a safe manner. The safety of the athletes that attend our events is always a priority. We go through a COVID process or COVID checklist to make sure that athletes can attend safely, our staff attend safely, and we just want to put the kids in the best position where they can go out and have success in somewhat of a normal fashion. But we also recognize some of the things that we're dealing with. So as we put together some of these events, that's always, or all of these events, that's always on our minds. That's always in the back of our minds, is making sure that we can do things as safely as possible.
Yep, and I could definitely co-sign that. So the Las Vegas event will be on February 5th, and the Los Angeles event is on February the 6th.
Yes. So we always do those 2 events back to back in our normal camp schedule. Our staff goes to Vegas, does the Saturday in Vegas. It's really cool because Vegas is another one of those cities. I don't know if it's because you can get cheaper flights into like Orlando or cheaper flights into Vegas. We get a lot of kids from all over the place that come to Vegas. There's a group out of Oregon that's bringing like 20, 25 kids down.
Wow.
And they've got a bunch of kids. It's called B12 Performance out of Oregon, out of the Northwest. And they've got like 7 or 8 kids that have multiple D1 offers. They come down to compete. They sent 10 or 15 kids that were down at the show last year. They had like 6 MVPs. They put together a really good group. Obviously, we've got some great kids that have come out of the Bishop Gorman program in Vegas. And, Coach Drew is up in Utah, and he brings down the kids from Utah that come in. He's recognized as one of the top quarterback coaches in the country. And but he's really a football coach in heart, just all positions. So they bring down a lot of kids from Utah. We had last year, in the last couple of years, we had Elijah Rushing come up from who is a All-American, who's been selected as an All-American, came out of Phoenix, out of Arizona. And so we get a bunch of kids come from all over that area that come out and compete, that make that trip worthwhile. So, the challenge for us early on, to be honest with you, is we see so much talent in Orlando. You've been there. We see so much talent in that back-to-back weekend in Vegas and LA. We have to be careful with our offers to the show because we'll fill up in like between the first 4 or 5 events, we could fill the show.
Right.
And so we recognize that we have to be careful with our offers and careful with the invitations, especially at some positions where there's real limits like quarterbacks. We have to be really careful with how we offer and how we invite kids to the show. So it's going to be exciting to get back to Vegas. I know that last year we were there later in the year. This year we're there early. And then last year we didn't do California. So that one will be at Los Alamitos High School,
Okay.
home of NextGen alum Malachi Nelson. That program has done a phenomenal job of developing elite D1 talent. We can't go to California without seeing our guy Keefe and the Ducks. He brings out all of his kids to come to that event. Obviously, that program is recognized as the elite youth football program. I think last year they won 3 national championships in 3 different leagues. They're like ridiculous. Wow. As far as the talent is concerned. And so all of those kids come out, and between Southern California and the kids that come out from Northern California, we get a lot of obviously a lot of talent comes there. So that's always a fun 2-day swing. It's a grind, to see.
Yeah, man.
We'll probably see 500, 600 kids in those 2 days, 300 at each event. But it'll be really, really, really cool, because just to get back to the West Coast and get a chance to see that talent will be special.
Yes, and I remember I didn't get to go last year, but I remember the year before. Got to see, you mentioned Malachi Nelson for the first time. Mm-hmm. And Nico, I don't even want to try to say his last name. Both of those quarterbacks at the same event in Los Angeles.
Right. We had 5 quarterbacks at that event. 3 of them are All-Americans.
Wow.
And there's at least 5 quarterbacks that had multiple Division I offers coming into that camp and coming right out of that camp. It's ridiculous to see the amount of talent at the quarterback position that comes out there. And I think the thing that's really cool about those areas is not just how talented the quarterbacks are, because we see raw talent in a lot of places. Right. It's how polished they are. Those kids are like, they're working with trainers. I know Danny Hernandez does a great job with those kids out there in Cali. He works with a bunch of them. He does a great job with those kids out there. I know the NFL guys are working with kids out there, some of those guys, and you see the impact that those guys have on the development of those kids and their polish. So I think that was the first or the second time that we actually selected, young Trent. Little Trent came out. Seaborn came out to that Cali event, and I'm like, I've got a picture with Trent and Nico and Malachi, and I'm saving that picture because I know that in the future, all 3 of those kids are going to have a huge impact in college football and beyond, and it's really cool to see what they look like then. So, yeah, that was a special weekend.
And you just triggered another question in my mind. You mentioned college football, and in fact, I'm pretty sure I know it's at the point where you're seeing NextGen alum on Saturdays or whatever night, whatever day they're playing football.
Yes.
How does that make you feel to see athletes that, came through the camp and seeing them, continue to pursue their dreams of, playing college football in this case?
Without getting overly emotional about it, it's amazing. It really is, because we're doing this. We'll start dropping this feature just over the next, next couple weeks about these kids are making NextGen proud. And some of the kids, we did a little feature on some of the running backs that are playing in college football. We're going to do one on linemen. We're going to do one on kind of each position group. The kids that came through the camp, and the running backs were at the time, it was the same weekend. Blake Corum had a great game. Blake Corum, hold on, I got to look at my notes now. I don't want to miss a name on that, man. It was really cool. We had Blake Corum at Michigan. We had I know this is bad TV, but we got to make sure we don't miss this group. But it was really cool. And so the thing is that when we start seeing those kids that are participating, at the college level that came through our camps, what that means to us, it simply means that what we're doing is the right thing. What we're doing is we're finding kids early, and what we're doing is we are creating opportunities for kids to be seen, and we're creating opportunities not only for those kids to be seen, but those are the kind of kids that you want to represent your program. I'm proud to see guys that go off and do well, having known that I saw that kid in sixth grade. I touched on this in an interview a while back with someone else, and I was saying it was really, really cool to think that I'm having a conversation with my son Cameron, who's a scout with the New England Patriots, and we're having a conversation about a player who is now on the draft board, and this is our first kids eligible to draft. Mm-hmm. And to see those kids come full circle, that they're now living not their dream. I mean, when they came to NextGen, it's just a dream to play college ball. Now they're getting ready to go in the NFL. So the running back group that we saw in one weekend that just made me think, man, we touched some lives. We had Blake Corum from Michigan, Travion Henderson at Ohio State, Chris Tyree was at Notre Dame, Kendall Milton at Georgia, Will Shipley at Clemson, and Jace McClellan at Alabama. All of those kids were NextGen kids at one point.
Wow.
That's amazing to me.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see those kids. And I can do that with every position. I can do that with quarterbacks. I can do that with offensive and defensive linemen. I can do that with linebackers. If we start talking secondary, there's kids that are locking down kids. I mean, that one-handed catch that my DB DJ Graham made in the Oklahoma game, I have that exact catch almost to a T when he was at a NextGen camp in Dallas. So, everybody was talking about, oh my gosh, I can't believe that kid made that catch. I could, because I seen him do it when he was in 8th grade.
Facts.
It's just like, those are the kind of things that make this whole thing special. And I think you touched on something that when we set out to do this, the reason partners joined forces with us, the reason TB12 came on board to help us with our quarterback stuff, the reason those groups came in, the reason Game Breaker came in is because they bought into the vision that our goal and our mission statement is to change lives one athlete at a time. Mm-hmm. I know the impact that my scholarship had on me and the doors it opened for me. A kid from Flint, Michigan, gets a scholarship to the University of Toledo. It would have been a struggle for my mother to pay for college for me. It would have been a struggle for me to get an education, but that scholarship changed my life. And so I realized the impact that scholarship can have on countless lives. And I'm not saying that we're the only reason that kids get scholarship offers. We're just a piece of the puzzle. I tell you all the time, we appreciate what you do. We appreciate what the guys at your competitors do. We appreciate that because we're just out here trying to put a platform together for those kids to be seen. You guys tell the story. You guys share the word and get those guys recognition, get those guys notoriety. And I think that's what makes it special, is that everybody covers our events because they know they're going to find talent there. And when you see it on the other side, my long answer to your short question was, it is emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It is touching to see those kids at that level.
Yeah, and I get that some thought because I see kids that may have came to my camp or I've covered, and I see them at
Hmm.
college. It's like, wow, you just like a proud parent, like a proud uncle or something like
Absolutely.
that. So
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
understand. Um,
Yeah.
Now the date after. Okay, I think we talked about Alabama. I think
We got
uh,
Alabama and
Alabama,
Atlanta going
Atlanta.
back to back. Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier, but and actually that was the first the show event I went to was in Atlanta,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was definitely a great weekend. Definitely grounded it
Right.
out. The talent was incredible. Um,
Hmm.
the way you guys put it together, and I like the fact that you have a lot of media coming to these events, and you're open
Hmm.
to even people that would be considered my competitor, but
Hmm.
we're all in the same game as far as trying to get these athletes as much exposure as possible. So I think that's definitely
Right.
a credit to you that these media outlets look at next gen as a great opportunity to showcase these kids and
Yeah.
help them from a recruiting standpoint. Like you said, of next gen isn't the only reason why they're getting
Hmm.
scholarships, but it's I could see up close and personal that is definitely one of the big reasons that a lot of these kids that are now like ranked in the top 24/7, for example,
Hmm.
2023. I saw them first at Next Gen camps 2 years ago. A lot of these
Right.
kids,
Right.
where did I see them
Right.
first? I mean, I sound like a commercial, but I saw them at Next Gen first, so
Right.
that's definitely
Right. Right.
a testament to
Yeah.
the program that you've started. So we got Bama and Atlanta same weekend, another grinder
Yeah.
from the looks of it.
That's another grind weekend. Obviously, Atlanta has always been one of our biggest camps, one of our most talent-filled camps. The guys at McEachern do a really good job of taking care of us there, and we're glad to be back there. Um, Obviously, you can't go to Atlanta without seeing a bunch of Hustle Inc. kids. Tony Ballard has built one of the most dominant 7-on-7 programs in the country, and his kids always come out, put on a show. Obviously, the McEachern kids, we're doing a private showcase for the kids at Grayson.
Okay.
Um, Michael Doherty, defensive back, next gen alum, All American. We're talking about All Americans, and one of the things that came to mind as we approach this time of the season, I'm seeing all the kids display their jerseys, and that were selected to the Under Armour All America game, where they were selected to it used to be the Army All America game, but the All America Bowl on NBC. And half of those kids that are playing in those two games came through our camps. And so
Yeah.
it's like I'm seeing these kids that, it's like when you see your own kids, do something great or incredible, your mind automatically reverts to when you saw them first. So when I see, you know, this player that's going to be announcing that he's playing at, he's going to go to this particular school, he's going to do this. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
first time I saw that kid, and so it's always a special time because I know that when we went through the All America game, Brennan, my oldest, played in the then Army Bowl, which is the All American Bowl on NBC. Cameron, my godson, my second son and godson played in the Semper Fi Bowl, and they had a great time competing against elite players,
Mm-hmm.
competing, on a national stage. And but in my mind, I still see them as those little kids when they first put their helmets on. That's kind of how I see those kids when they have those All American jerseys. I'm like, man, I remember when that kid first put on his first Next Gen jersey. That's special.
And that leads me to another quick point. Um, the fact that if you're good enough and you perform well at the show or at the next gen camp, it's a great chance that you could be selected for the All American game. That's correct.
Yes. Absolutely. So I had the great fortune of being added to the selection committee, and it's a really cool process that the guys go through. I think Eric Richards and his team does a phenomenal job of of trying to make sure that they leave no stone unturned. They really go through the process of deep dive selection. Steve Wilfong is
My
you
man.
know the 24/7 rep that runs. It's just like, hey, these are kids that we need to get on. These are kids that we need to look at. And it's not like, oh, I just heard about this kid. I
Right.
mean, these dudes are going out and going to games, watching them in person, going to see kids, talking to them, interviewing them. They want the right kids at this game. And so I think that makes it special. I think that makes the experience special. So we have the great fortune now of not just being able to pick an athlete every year from the show will get an invitation to the All America Bowl, but we have the ability to say, hey, this kid was dominant at our camp. We can back up and say, this kid was great at our Atlanta camp. This kid was great at our Vegas camp or our Dallas camp. We need to be on this kid early. So we need to pay attention. We're already selecting kids for the 2024 All America game.
I see.
We're going to start 2025 soon. I mean, you got to get on the radar. You got to get out. You got to be seen. And we're just fortunate that this is a platform where you can be seen.
Absolutely. So going to the next date after the following weekend, going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Now,
No, actually, there's a little change in that. We actually moved the Cleveland event to April 10th.
Okay.
So we actually go from Atlanta to Dallas. And so
Okay.
Dallas, we have a week off, kind of recover, go through all of those invitations. Obviously, Atlanta will be full. It'll be 400 kids. I mean, we had 380 last year. We had to separate and do two fields. We had to break the kids off and have them come back at different times. It was crazy. So now we're coming back. It'll be the same kind of craziness in Atlanta. And then we go to Dallas, which is always one of our biggest and most crazy events. We'll be at Dallas, Colleyville Covenant School, where we were last year. I remember a guy that came out to scout the event, and he said, man, how were you able to get so many talented kids to come to this event? I mean, there's 200 kids here right now. And I said, well, this is only half of the event. This is the younger group. Wow. The older kids will be back here in the afternoon session. And he was shocked that we had 390 kids, almost 400 kids at an event in Dallas in a pandemic, and that we were able to successfully operate. My staff, they've heard me say it once, they heard me say it a million times. There's COVID in these streets. We gotta be safe.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say it.
Super safe
until this pandemic's over. We're gonna keep saying it. And so we were able to run an event with all of those kids. We had to separate them by groups just to make sure that it was as safe as possible. And man, did we find a lot of talent. And so a lot of those kids came out to the show, balled out, and hopefully it changes their lives. So, and then we go to Cleveland. So yeah, so that's when things hit there. We'll come back to the Midwest then.
So you just said the Cleveland event will be April the 9th?
The Cleveland event is scheduled for April 10th.
April 10th, okay.
It'll be a Sunday, yep. That last year we had kids come down from Rochester. Obviously, Western PA came over, all of Ohio, Michigan came out. We didn't have an event in Chicago last year, so we had a lot of Illinois kids come in Kentucky. So this year we will have Chicago. So our Cleveland event should be, it was the first time we were at the Spire Institute. This year we're going to do it indoors. You can never predict the weather in Ohio in April. Sure. Last year we were late. We were late, later towards the end of May, so we were okay. That's where I'm from. I grew up in Michigan. I went to school in Toledo. I've been in snowstorms in April, so I couldn't take the chance to say, yeah, we're gonna be outdoors in Cleveland.
Right.
Those old bones don't move real well then, man. So we will be we'll be indoors. They have an incredible indoor facility at the Spire Institute outside of Cleveland, and it allows those kids to come out, compete in an environment that's the weather won't hinder them from having a great performance.
All right, and so just to backtrack, was there an event in Ohio last year? Must have missed it.
Yes, we did Cleveland.
Track. Okay.
Yeah, we did Cleveland. We were at the Spire Institute, but we did it later in the year. We did it like towards the middle or end of May.
Okay.
Just because it fit. Yeah. So we did Cleveland last year. That was the only Midwest event that we were able to do last year. This year we're going to add Chicago, which will be the finale of the selection tour. So I think that's one of the things that as we go from event to event, it's great to get to these different cities. It's a lot of fun. But our staff is always mindful that every city we go to starts over. We are starting with a clean slate, and our goal is to find the best players at each event. And I've had parents that'll say, well, my son was the best player in the camp at his position in his graduation group. Why didn't he get an invitation to the show? It's not because we don't think that he's talented or that he did have a good day. But what it means is we're not comparing your son to what we saw out here, because the number one kid in one city might not have been the top 20 in another city. Right. So we're always comparing against what we saw all year, and then ultimately what we know will be successful and be able to compete at the show. So we've seen some really talented players that weren't quite where we thought they needed to be to earn an invitation. And so we didn't invite them. Parents mad at us, yelling at us, or, the drill. It's like,
absolutely.
Little Johnny was the best kid here, but this camp didn't have any really good players in his position. I'm sorry. If he goes to the show, you won't have little Johnny anymore. Some of those kids are going to eat little Johnny. You'll be done. You won't, so they get that. I get it. They don't.
Right.
But we're comparing kids to what we know will work at the show, and secondly, what we know will be able to compete at a national level.
And I think that's actually those are all great points you brought up. And I think those are definitely points that athletes coming to these events and definitely parents coming to these events should keep it in mind. Like, you're competing not only against the players at the camp, like you said, you're competing against players from different states that, the evaluators that have already seen. And I'm with you. Right. It's been camps where, like, okay, it's some, good players here, but maybe I saw some better ones in Texas, or maybe I'm thinking I probably might see some better players at a later event. And like you said, okay, that player may be the best at that camp, or one of the top players. However, can they compete at the show? Like, that's a big deal, because as you said, exposure is a two-way street. You can get some exposure or get exposed.
Absolutely.
So,
no, that's a great line, and it's true, because the last thing that we want is put a kid in a position. I know that most parents feel like, well, once he gets on that stage, he's going to be good. He's going to show you that he can do it. And there's instances where that's happened. I just had a conversation and checking on one of my kids and just seeing how he was doing, how things are going. I was talking to his mother today, and she doesn't care if I say his name. His name is Robbie Ashford. Robbie was the last kid that we invited to the show, when we were in, what show was that? It was the Ohio show.
Okay.
When we were at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was the last quarterback selected. And largely it happened because he got injured or somebody else got injured, and the door opened for us to extend an invitation. So I think a lot of times people think, oh, I came to this event, I didn't get invited. Did they forget about me? No, we still are looking back as well as looking forward. But we invited Robbie to the show, and Robbie came in with an attitude and a chip on his shoulder. And he was competing against, some really good quarterbacks. And he walked away with the MVP of the event, won the championship of the event, put on a show at the show. And those are the kind of kids that we want that can take a situation where there was failure involved and I didn't get what I wanted, and I went back to work, I went back in the lab, I got myself better, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to prove that you messed up. I tell the kids every event, two things going to happen out of this. If you got selected for the show, I need you to prove me right. Go down to the show and compete. And if you didn't get selected to the show, I hope you prove me wrong. Go and prove that I should have been there, and come back the next year and earn your ticket. Right. That's like the heart of competition. That's what coaches want to see. As a college football player or an NFL player, I was fortunate to play 11 years in the National Football League. There were a lot of games where I got my butt kicked. You lose battles. That dude got a check too. He gets a check every week too. He's a pro. You lose battles. What do you do when you come back from that? How do you respond to a negative event? How do you respond to it? How do you respond to, our coaches are looking at kids that get beat at one of the events one of our regional events, and they want to say, okay, he got beat. How's he come back? I know he has talent, but how's he come back? Does he blame his shoes? Does he blame the sun for dropping the ball? Does he say the quarterback's trash? What does he do with that information? So I think that's the thing that makes our events a lot of fun. I think our coaches have a great time in challenging the kids. But make no mistake, our expectations when you come to the event, if you want to earn a ticket, we expect you to be great. We expect you to come out and compete.
Yep, and that's what it's all about, competing. And I'm with you. Especially especially during the one-on-one periods. You're going to get 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get beat a couple of times. And as you mentioned, it's definitely all about how do you respond. That's what I look at. Not so much that a kid gets beat, but it's like, okay, does that kid keep competing? Does he pout? What the body language looks like?
Absolutely.
I think kids should definitely keep in mind, the way, like I just said, your body language tells a lot. Probably more than what they know. So, and it's one of those things where you want them to be aware of that. So when they go to, college prospect camps or maybe at games and college coaches are watching, you don't want to display that type of body language because it's going to get off a bad impression. So
absolutely.
So we got that the Cleveland event on April 10th.
Yep.
Then it's another double header.
We start hitting the Southeast again, man. We start heading south, man. We go to Richmond, the Mid-Atlantic area. Obviously, you can't go to Richmond without seeing the kids from Life Christian Academy. We're doing a special private showcase for them.
Okay.
And obviously, they come to that event. The 757 Colts, Coach Red and his group, that dude brings a bus of kids. And I think that's one of the things that gets forgotten in this whole process. When we invite kids to the show, there's some coaches out there, some programs out there. Coach Red brought, I think, 30 kids to the show last year from Virginia down to Florida. putting these kids on buses, taking care of kids that may not have the means to get to the camp, putting them in housing. These dudes sacrifice. And so I think one of the things that I never thought about when I started the camp was so many great people that impact the lives of these kids that are sacrificing for themselves, just to help these kids get to the next level. And so when I think of Richmond, I think of Coach Scott, who, last December when we had the show, the COVID show in December, they won the championship. Coach Scott and his group from Life Christian Academy. But, I think about Coach Red and the sacrifices that they make to bring those kids. His program has put out some incredibly talented kids. And that's another group of kids that he's got Cameron Warren, who is a 2025 All-American already. Brandon Thomas, these are linemen. He won the Trench King Challenge for defensive linemen last year in the younger group. He's only going. He's a freshman now. Those kids have, between the two of them, I think they might have 30 Division I offers, and they're just getting into high school. And the crazy part is, when they come to the camp, the only thing you know about them is how good they are. They compete like they don't have anything, which is amazing to me. My biggest worry when starting the camp was, okay, you're going to pay a lot of attention to a lot of young players. How are they going to handle that attention? And that's at such an early and young age. Mm-hmm. And my worry is, oh man, they're going to get this attention and then they're going to stop working hard. He's found the formula. Coach Red has found the formula for those kids to keep competing. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. He has a way that every time they show up, it's like they don't have anything. They don't have a scholarship. It's like a scholarship is on the line. They come out and play. So we'll be at the River City Sportsplex in Midlothian, Virginia. That event. I remember the first year we did that event, and Coach Scott came out, and some of the Virginia guys came out. I think we had 90 kids. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I'm going to come back here again. Coach said, you got to come back. One more year. Trust me. One more year. You're building your name. These kids are going to come down. We found Chris Tyree at that camp. Till this day, the fastest electronic 40 that has ever been run was run by Chris Tyree, Notre Dame running back, 4.38 electronic. Boom, wow. Drop the mic. When somebody beats it, we'll tell their story. But until then, he's the man. He is the fastest man on the next gen planet.
Hey, what year was he at that particular camp?
This would be, Chris is now a sophomore at Notre Dame, but Chris was a part of the show in Dallas. He was a part of the show in Ohio. He was a part of the show in Atlanta. Wow. I mean, he goes back, man. But I mean, to this day, he's still the fastest kid. And I think he came back his freshman, sophomore year just to say, all right, I'm going to show y'all, everybody said I ran a 4.5 as a freshman. That wasn't enough. I'm going to show y'all what it really means when I get going here. So, but it's really cool to see that talent and to watch the talent grow. He has 2 twin little brothers now that have been a part of the show that we can't wait to see. They'll be back this year. I think they're going to be freshmen coming in, or they're going to be sophomores. They're coming into their own. So that area of the country, we see a lot of talent in that area. Also are doing a private showcase for the kids at St. Francis that weekend. And we're doing 4 private showcases with some of the elite high school programs in the country. This year, this is something new. And it really comes down to we want to find talent wherever we can.
Okay.
And if it means we need to go to a high school, work with that coach and that coaching staff to make those kids a part of the NextGen family, then we'll do that. So we did custom uniforms in their high school colors. Wow. It'll be really cool to see. We dropped those today for those kids that'll be participating in that event. That's
awesome. I didn't. You drop it online or just to the kids?
No, we just threw it on. It's on Instagram, man.
Okay.
You know my skills are limited. With this stuff. So yeah, we put it on Instagram. It'll go out. We'll start once the events get closer. We'll start pumping it up. I saw some of the kids reposting it. We're growing as a camp, but we're also recognizing that not everybody can make it to one of our regional events, and we want to get to a place where we do more. This year we're back to kind of our normal schedule of doing 12 regionals, where over the last couple of years we were 8 because of COVID and everything that was going on. Right. But now we're back to kind of our normal schedule, and hopefully, adding these other events, we'll get to see more kids. Ultimately, with our partners and the support that we have, we want to see 5,000 kids this year in our regional events. And from those 5,000 kids, we're going to invite around 600 kids to the show. And it's going to be another great event. I think over the last couple of years, we've invited more kids than probably we should have. I think we were over 700 last year. But we just felt like, man, these kids missed out on the opportunity to showcase their skills. We need to give them a platform to showcase. So we invited more kids. I think 800 invitations were last year, and I think we had 780 at the event. Wow. I think we need to be, in a perfect world, I would say 600. But make no mistake, if you are good enough to be there, I don't care about the number. We will get those kids there. So if we find 700 kids that deserve to be at the show, they'll be there.
That's great that you guys are open to, allowing. I guess I know you have a set, like you said, you have a set number, but of course they got to be good, and you're open to allowing these athletes to come and have opportunity to showcase their talents. So that's a great thing. Right.
And we don't set a number. We don't set a number by event. You know that as well as anyone. You know all those events. We might pick 10 kids at one camp, and I think. I mean, I've been at an event where we might have picked almost 100. We've had 400 kids, and we might have picked 80 kids that got invitations. I want to find a way to get back to giving out invitations at the event again. Where last year we were, COVID sensitive, and I didn't want to be passing out papers or cards, invitation tickets, my paranoia with it. So I want to do that, but I want to find a way that we can give out those invitations on site. Even if we do it electronically some way, we might be able to pull that off. So we want to figure out a way to get back to that.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely something the kids, I mean, I know they understand because, like you said, COVID is out in these streets, but
that's right.
I know the kids love to get that invitation and take the picture and go home with it and everything. So.
Absolutely. So, so that back-to-back weekend is Richmond and Charlotte, and then we head to Nashville. Back to Charlotte. Yep, back in Charlotte. Years. We have not been to Charlotte in, 3 years.
Okay.
The last time we were there, obviously there's a ton of talent. That's not the question. The issue has always been, there's some camps.
Hey Brent, real quick.
They'll throw a camp up anywhere. Yep.
I'm sorry. Key back. Say that one more time. You broke up a little bit.
Okay. I said we're back in Charlotte. We haven't been there in 3 years.
Okay.
But it might be 2 years. It might be a stretch. But the reason couldn't time it up where our partners could be there. And so, as you know, I know there's camp series out there. They'll throw a camp up anywhere and call it an exposure camp. We have a hashtag that nobody has figured out what those letters mean. At the bottom of all of our stuff on all of our social media, whoever figures that out, we're going to send them an award. But it's our personal motto. We're not going to be the camp that just throws up camps just to say, oh, it's an exposure camp. If I can't get you guys there, if I can't get your competitors there to cover the event, I'm just doing something just to make money. And I don't want to have just this money grab mentality where kids just come out to a camp. Oh yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I got to compete. Our camp is an exposure camp. Mm-hmm. And if I don't have the resources there or the people there to provide exposure, then that's fraudulent. So we don't want to do that. So we couldn't coordinate with the folks with you guys, your schedule, or the guys at Rivals or whoever to come down to be able to cover the camp when we wanted to do it at the dates that we had it for Charlotte over the last couple of years, so we couldn't get there. So now we've put it on the schedule. Now we've got it booked. Everybody now is understanding, okay, yeah, if they're throwing a camp, people are coming.
Right.
Yeah, there's going to be talent there, so we're not going to be wasting our time. So that's really the reason that we may or may not make a city or come to a city. It's not about, oh, we didn't think there was talent there, but we're not just going to throw a camp up just because. And the hashtag that we use is hashtag OC. Hold on, let me make sure that's right. OCBTTC. That's it. So when you figure that out, nobody's going to figure it out. It's nobody's going to figure it out. It's just not. You're not going to get it. You're one of those kids that flunked social studies trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube.
You know what? I'm not even gonna mess with that right now. My brain might explode.
The Rubik's Cube, man. You didn't get the Rubik's Cube. You're not gonna get this, man. So
I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. So after that doubleheader that weekend, we got Nashville, April 30th.
Yep.
Same place.
Back at Lipscomb Academy.
Okay.
Home of Trent Dilfer and his staff there, Coach Sione. They do a great job. Sione and their group hosting that event. It's a little challenging for them because as coaches in that program, they have to not be really a part of that event because they're always careful about the look or the image or perception that it looks like that they're hosting this event to recruit kids to the school. Obviously, kids come to that school from all over the place, and so they're very careful about that. So those coaches don't even work the event. I saw Trent after the event, after all the kids had left. He came on campus for something else, and I got a chance to talk to him then. But they can't be a part of that event because they don't want to violate anything in Tennessee that creates issues for them or their program. But we have all of our coaches that come from off the road. It's a great, that's one of those cities that started out 100 kids. Second year we came, it was 200. Last year was 240. I don't know what this year looks like. It's towards the end of May. We already have almost 100 kids registered for that camp. We started this race to sell out post that we do on Instagram. We do it at the beginning of each month. And that's one of the camps that's starting to shoot up the charts. The main ones always, we know Orlando, we know Dallas, we know New Jersey, we know Atlanta. But those other camps are starting to become, bigger camps consistently where we're having 300 plus kids at each one of those camps.
And you just mentioned that New Jersey is the week after that. And
Yeah.
to speaking from experience, that's always
Yeah.
a big
That's my
camp.
fault. It is my fault. It is. We come to one of the populous areas of the country, Northeast, and we only do one camp. And we will have, I think, 2 years ago, in the height of COVID, we had 400 plus kids.
Yeah.
Last year, we had 400 plus kids. And I just thought it was because kids didn't have anything to do. We've now made it where we're going to use 2 fields because the event has grown so much. We only get a chance to do 1 event in the Northeast. At some point, we're going to add another event. It's just a matter of getting timing and when, like I said, when we can have coverage of that event, when we can make sure that folks are around to see them. But that one has become, like the event. And at this point, what it has also become is we'll have 300 plus kids from the Northeast, but we'll have 100 kids that have come from, that were at the Cleveland camp that didn't get an invitation, or at Nashville camp and didn't get an invitation, and they want to come back and try to earn an invitation, because now we're down to the last two events for the show. And so the last 2 events that we select kids for the show. And so we'll get a lot of kids from that event. And one question that always comes up is parents will ask, they'll say, well, should I come to an earlier event? Does it really matter? Yes, it can in a little bit, but for the most part, we know our big events, we know where the talent is, and we know that we'll have enough invitations left for our New Jersey and our Chicago event that will wrap up the selection tour. And the last thing that I said, that I'll touch on, that I said before, if the kid is good enough, if the athlete is good enough, I don't care, we will get them in. That's not a question. We will find it. It's not like, oh, we're out of shirts, we don't have enough uniforms, we don't have enough gear. Right. No, we're not there. You know, if you caught me, 6-7 years ago, yeah, you might have had to write your name on a T-shirt and jump in line. But we've grown a little bit. We're a big boy camp now. So yeah, it's interesting because that's always a concern of parents. Is my son going to have a fair chance to earn an invitation at one of the later events, considering you guys have so many earlier events? And the answer is absolutely yes.
And okay, so you just touched on the Chicago event. It's the last event. It'll be on May 14th. When will you be releasing the dates for the 6 quarterback college?
We're going to release those next week. We're going to release those Monday or Tuesday of next week, probably Tuesday. We're just finalizing some facilities. And with the 6, when we do the 6, obviously it's a little different because we're there for 2 days. Actually there for 3 days. But we also have to tie in hotels, and all of those pieces come together. So it's a little different with the 6 than it is with just the regional events where we just have to secure a football field. So it's a little more entailed. But we'll release those 6 sites coming up in the next week.
All right, and quarterbacks, this is definitely something you'll want to attend. It's a unique experience, and the guys that run the 6 quarterback college, lots of knowledge, just good dudes, like the whole NextGen staff. So you definitely want to sign up sooner than later, because I'm pretty sure those spots will sell out quickly.
Yeah,
so.
We're locked at 50 for those. Those are
okay.
We do 50 quarterbacks in each one of those 6 events, except for the Mega 6 where we're doing 100. The Mega 6 will be done. That one's in January. I think that when I last checked registration, Monday earlier this week. I think that there was 2 spots left in that group. I think that there might be 15 spots left for linemen
Really?
in the Mega TKC. So
I gotta get on my game then.
yeah, so we need to get those lineman spots filled up.
Okay.
And the thing is with that one is, we want the best of the best. We want really elite players. We want guys that want to learn. We want guys that want to walk out of a weekend changed. We want you to come in with your talent and your skill set, but humbleness and a pride about, I want to be different after this weekend. I want to be better. I want to be a better player. I want to be a better person. I want to be better at everything that my we're bringing media specialists to talk to kids about just for the Mega 6 and Mega TKC media event. We're bringing in a specialist to talk about managing NIL and evaluating deals for the NIL opportunities that have been presented to kids. We've got yoga specialists. We got a guy from TB12, Tom Brady's group, is going to come in and talk to the quarterbacks about Tom's band routine and training routine and regiment. We want to take this to another level that makes this a different experience. And then when you've experienced that growth, then the expectations for us are, we expect you to take that back to your community and your town and your team and your city and where you go and be different. And that's the ultimate goal in this, is we're seeking to change lives. We want our events to be life experience. So don't take shots at it. They do what they do. We do what we do. Right. But our goal is to change lives. And if that's not your ultimate goal, I didn't get in this business to I want to make a ton of money and do a bunch of camps. No, I know the impact that my scholarship had on my life, and I want to do the same. I know what it had on my kids' lives, and I want to do the same for somebody else.
That's awesome. And again, I've seen it up close and personal. So, I definitely want to commend you and this, NextGen family for giving these kids opportunities and helping them, try to in a lot of cases reach their goals.
Absolutely.
Whatever that may be from a football standpoint. So I definitely want to thank you once again for taking the time with me tonight to talk about the regional camps. I know me and you will talk a few more times.
Absolutely.
Once the event gets a little bit closer, probably for the next month or so, all your registrations are in, and we know who's actually coming. We can start talking about some of these athletes attending, and just work on the exposure even before the event. And that's the great thing about NextGen.
No, I'd love for you to start to get those kids, get me off. And I'd love to share the stage with some of the kids who are to the camp. Kids that that's what we do this for. That's what you got in this business, years ago with the idea of telling stories, the story of a gifted athlete is what makes, creates opportunities for those kids, man. So I applaud, what you've done. Every time you come up with something new, man, it's always fun to be a part of. And I'm proud of you and what you've grown to do in this business, man. I say it all the time, when you show up, you're the hardest working man in scouting biz. Now, I know the guys, I know Woody and some of the guys that we've worked with in different places would say otherwise, because all of those guys that are passionate about this game, they work really, really hard. And I know you guys all do. And I think that's the level of respect that you guys have in the craft for those people who are really doing it the right way. So Hey, I appreciate you giving me the time to share our schedule for the year, and I can't wait to see you on the road, brother.
Absolutely, and I'm definitely gonna make it out to as many events as possible. And
You
definitely, I'll say this: I definitely actually am proud of you, obviously, because we talk. I know we talked about a lot of things. Several years ago before you started the camps, it was just an idea that you was ready to go with, and obviously it's been successful. And from my standpoint, I just definitely wanted to. I know you don't want to be out in front of the camera or anything like that, but I did think it was important to, let you tell your story, tell the
hmm
next gen story, a story that's continuing, you know, being written as we speak. So, much love to you. I definitely appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you giving me the platform to give these kids the platform. Like, it definitely goes hand in hand. I just want you to know I definitely appreciate that. And anytime I'm available, I'm at Next Gen. Period.
You got it, brother.
All
Thank you,
right.
man.
So no problem at all.
Be blessed.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. You too. Thank you.